Is there anything worse than a speeding tractor-trailer combo during late morning rush hour traffic on a freeway?
Call an ambulance! Right here!
In early May 1976, Huston, Texas found the answer out in a very deadly and noxious way by adding 7,000 gallons of anhydrous ammonia that the semi-truck was transporting. It was one of the scariest moments in the city's long history. As morning traffic was making its way in and out of Huston, Texas, a semi-truck carrying a load of highly pressurized anhydrous ammonia was speeding onto an exit ramp with little regard for the safety of surrounding traffic or the metropolis it was traveling through. May 11, 1976 began just like any other day for Houstonians in the area. With the lunch hour looming overhead, traffic on Houston's urban freeways was business as usual, with the exception of a single vehicle. 28-year-old Gregory Schmidt was operating a commercial tanker truck transporting 7,000 gallons of very toxic and extremely combustible ammonia. He was on the I-610, one of Houston's busiest freeways, barreling through traffic. The driver of a vehicle in front of the truck stated that she had noticed it was following her at several car lengths distance. Her speedometer indicated that she was traveling at 59 miles per hour and she had accelerated to 70 in order to initiate a lane change to the right. She said that during this entire time the truck had kept up with her pace. Both of the vehicles exited from the I-610 onto the connector ramp that would take them to the Southwest Freeway. The driver of the car said that she was driving at approximately 40 to 45 miles per hour around the curve, and that, to her, the truck appeared to be accelerating, going now nearly 10 to 20 miles per hour faster than her. The semi exited to the left, while the car exited the freeway connector ramp to the right. The truck was going too fast to safely navigate this curve. The guardrail system that was in use in this section of the overpass was of an outdated design and was only intended to stop automobiles from being able to penetrate it. Unfortunately, when the truck missed the turn and skipped over the curb, it could not be stopped by the barrier. The lateral surge of the load of liquid ammonia within the truck caused the truck and trailer to overturn over the railing and plow through the barrier to the freeway 20 feet below. It barely missed landing on a car. Immediately, it broke into two sections and exploded upon impact, releasing a massive cloud of anhydrous ammonia. Shelby Hodge, a reporter that had been working nearby, told responding emergency personnel that the explosion rattled windows for several seconds in office buildings next to the interchange. A few of these were media and press offices, such as the Houston Post where Miss Hodge worked. If you don't know, anhydrous ammonia is an industrial-strength cleaning agent. It's colorless and lighter than air. It's soluble in water, highly corrosive, and extremely irritating to the skin, eyes, nose, and respiratory tract. Anhydrous ammonia is used in many things commercially. Because it boils at negative 28 degrees Fahrenheit, the liquid form which the semi-truck was carrying must be stored under extremely high pressure or at extremely low temperatures. The blast that occurred from all that pressure being released at once ripped a hole in the highway overpass and damaged supporting columns in the interchange. All that was left of the truck was 4 tires and a completely twisted hulk of metal. Robert Galindo, a taxicab driver who happened to be driving that day, was quoted as saying, "I saw a whole tank fly up as high as the 40-story Humble building. The smell was horrible. I couldn't breathe. I saw people trapped on the inside of that cloud of smoke." The ensuing release of ammonia gas resulted in the death of 6 other people, beside the driver who had been killed instantly. The vapor cloud of ammonia released was so huge it could be seen for miles. Miss Hodge stated, "Cars and people were scattered everywhere. There were these billowing white clouds of smoke until the freeway just completely disappeared. Within seconds of the smoke coming, we smelled the ammonia." At that time, there were approximately 500 people, all located within a 1/4 mile radius of the accident. It happened less than 2 miles from the upscale Galleria retail outlet and less than 9 miles from downtown Huston. The victims that were in vehicles on the freeway in the immediate vicinity of the explosion were completely engulfed by the fumes and overcome, causing some of the drivers to lose control and crash. 12 vehicles were damaged by flying debris. 4 of those 12 were subjected to severe and unrepairable damage. All of the fatalities involved in this incident were later listed as a direct result of ammonia fume inhalation. Among the deceased were the truck driver, 28-year-old Gregory Schmidt, 33-year-old Grace Gillibard, 40-year-old Gordon D. McAdams, 33-year-old George Henry Pearson, and 48-year-old David Randall Whiteman. Witnesses to the event recall seeing one man who had tried to duck into a culvert to find fresh air, only to be completely overwhelmed by the fumes within seconds. Many motorists who stopped their own vehicles in an effort to render aid to those already overcome by the fumes were also sickened by inhaling the gas. These included responding emergency personnel and members of the press who were on the scene reporting. The police blocked off traffic in a 3-mile radius. Any residents nearby who could smell the ammonia were instructed to evacuate their homes immediately until the cloud and smell had dispersed. All available ambulances and private hearses were sent to the scene to remove those who had been injured by inhaling the gas. At this time, the Huston Fire Department did not have a specially trained hazmat team to deal with these types of chemical incidents. As a result, many of the first responders were affected by the ammonia vapors as well. Nowadays, even for a small spill with remotely dangerous chemicals, a hazmat team is immediately dispatched to ensure public and responder safety. The chances of survival for those caught in an ammonia cloud that strong with that high a concentration were minimal. In fact, almost all of the vegetation and greenery in the area later died as well. The wind and low humidity that day, though, was of some help. Within 5 minutes, the vapor cloud had been dispersed by the heavy winds. In just 2.5 hours, air quality in the area was returning to a normal level already. The initial density, though, had been far more than enough to cause deaths and other serious injuries. The Greater Houston Hospital Council reported that 119 people were treated at area hospitals. 40 to 50 of those were admitted in fair or critical condition. One medic stated that he had 12 people in a single ambulance. Since the incident occurred, most of those injured have lived with long-term lung damage inflicted by inhaling the poison. 3 years after the accident, 27-year-old Karen Bijak, a former beauty queen, would die of health complications as a result of her exposure to the chemical. Reporter Bob Relay spoke to witnesses who saw the accident and confirmed fatalities at the scene with fire officials. KTRK TV media reports show medics taking away burn victims, as well as everyday Houstonians chipping in to help with the recovery effort. Engineers were flown in from the DuPont plant in Deepwater, New Jersey. They used an aqua ammonia solution to neutralize the chemicals before the wreck could be safely cleaned up. Because the driver of the truck had died at the scene, accident investigators had to rely on eyewitness reports and evidence gathered from the scene itself. Anytime there's an accident of this magnitude, the NTSB, or National Traffic Safety Board, conducts an investigation in an effort to determine the cause. Upon investigation, it was found that the tractor-trailer's transmission was in 9th gear. This corroborates the witness testimony that the truck had been speeding heavily. It was also found that the truck's pyrometer was stuck in the red range, indicating the truck was traveling too fast for a tank that was less than full. Further investigation also showed that the right-hand side of the exit ramp had posted a warning sign stating a recommended exit speed limit of 40 miles per hour. There was, however, no sign posted on the left-hand side, the side the truck had exited on. The guardrail system in use on this section of the overpass, as stated before, was of an outdated design, only intended to prevent automobiles from being able to break through it. The Hazardous Materials Transportation Act of 1975 had been established to protect the public from the possible risks of transporting hazardous materials. But, as it stood, it was primarily intended to prevent illegal dumping of toxic waste. Clearly, the act did not adequately address the primary contributors to incidents like this. The 1979 NTSB Investigation Board concluded that DOT-mandated safeguards were not effective in reducing injuries, damages, or casualties. The NTSB then made a recommendation to the Federal Highway Administration that they should carefully investigate the problem of overturned stability, which can result from the surge of liquid cargoes in all partially loaded tractor-trailer combinations. This was recommended with the intention to design new tank trailers in such a manner that it would reduce or eliminate the effects of liquid surge altogether. A recommendation was also sent to the Department of Transportation, suggesting that they initiate research into ways to reduce the risks of injury and damage resulting from this type of chemical incident. This suggestion led to many changes in the laws designed to protect the general public and to reduce the amount of collateral damage. The Safety Board's areas of investigation were the cargo tank safeguards to prevent abrupt release of the contents of the tank, and the fact that exposed persons had only seconds of limited time to get out of the danger area before being completely engulfed by ammonia. The hampered emergency communications that occurred because of the cloud itself were also investigated. It was found that city evacuation recommendations would have caused some of the people who survived uninjured initially to be led directly into the oncoming vapor cloud to escape. It was also found that the routing of hazardous materials contributed to the crash as well. The Safety Board's conclusions and recommendations emphasize the importance of collecting survival action data and incorporating that information into future revisions of the DOT Materials Transportation Bureau's programs, procedures, and guidelines. Since this accident, those proposed changes to tank designs have been implemented. The designs include partitions and/or baffles that reduce or eliminate the type of liquid surge that contributed heavily to the overturning of the semi-truck. There have also been changes to the design of overpass guardrails and the materials used to construct them. The new designs are usually able to redirect the full weight of all vehicles, including tractor-trailers, back onto the road, instead of allowing them to over-penetrate and tumble out onto the road below. Barriers and guardrails across the country were updated and improved as a result of this investigation. They now significantly reduce the possibility that buses and even commercial trucks up to 80,000 pounds will be able to break through. As proof that these changes to the laws have been effective, a similar incident occurred June 4, 2013. In this accident, coincidentally occurring at the same location as the one in 1976, a truck loaded with methanol crashed into the barrier. This time, though, the guardrail redirected the truck and kept it from falling onto the freeway below. While it took many hours for the hazmat teams to clean up the mess, as a result there were no significant injuries or even damage as a result of the wreck. In 1997, U.S. Senator Cale Bailey Hutchison reported that the U.S. transports more than 1 billion tons of hazardous materials by land, sea, and air yearly. This was an estimated 500,000 shipments each day. She stated that only 8 to 15 deaths per year were attributed to the transportation of these materials, and of those deaths, most were the truck accidents involving the ignition of petroleum products. On the agenda at this hearing were more non-destructive testing techniques, structural defects in tank cars, and increasing rollover protection requirements, as well as increasing the crashworthiness of front heads on cargo tanks. Senator Hutchison chaired the Subcommittee on Surface and Merchant Marine Transportation. Her statement in 1997 was delivered to a hearing to reauthorize the Hazardous Materials Transportation Act, but this reauthorization did not happen until 2003. While the route that the tanker took is still there, and is still Houston's most traveled roadway, large quantities of hazardous materials are no longer allowed on the 610 loop. This accident was one of the scariest moments in Houston's long history. Even though progress has been made since, such accidents still continue to occur throughout the country. Fatalities, injuries, environmental harm, and lost assets are still too frequent. What is up, guys? Darkest Hour here. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it this far to the end of the video. If you guys enjoyed this content, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. If you have any criticism for me on how I can make these videos better in the future, or you have a particular incident you would like me to cover, please be sure to leave it in the comments below the video. I would like to give a special thanks to my editor who put this video together for me. Links to his social media will be in the description below. As well, I would like to give a special thanks to my graphics artist Sabelle, who did the profile art for this channel and does all the thumbnails as well. Last but not least, I would like to give a thank you to my scriptwriter Toxic Queen. She helps me after I've done all the research on the event with putting together a coherent script that sounds good when reading it out, so thank you very much for that. It's thanks to my awesome team that I can put these awesome videos together for you guys. If you're curious about the sources I used in my research or where I got all the video footage from, you can find those links in the description as well. They will be listed in a Google document and it will have all of the links, so you can go ahead and check those out if you want to learn more. Overall though guys, I think that's pretty much it for now, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys stay safe today.